Welcome to every holiday Ghostbuster. I'm Newbie again. For my previous Ghostbusters videos, see the description. Santa Claus was once the Norse god Odin. After Odin, he was Saint Nicholas, and after that, Sinterklaas. He worked with Krampus, with whom he shares an ancestor in the first boogeyman Rotafury. Indeed, Sinterklaas may be a boogeyman himself, meaning that he was brought to life by belief. All this is not to say that Santa's not real, as we learn that some people, such as Shimabuku, are reincarnated through the power of belief. In fact, Peter explicitly mentions Santa as an example. Once the Ghostbusters met a hefty apparition on West 34th Street who didn't know they were a ghost. This is likely some version of Santa, which is obvious to anyone who watched Miracle on 34th Street. Another time, Peter would accidentally bust Santa, forcing him to deliver the remaining gifts. Remember this scene? This Facebook post implied an unexpected visitor was involved. One time, Slimer met Twinkie, a witch's cat that grant wishes. While dreaming, Slimer wishes for Christmas, which brought Santa. He refused to leave before he gave one gift, leading Egon to ask that he go away. On actual Christmas Eve, a storm causes a power outage, preventing him from calling Mrs. Claus to tell her to drop off his sled. Egon and Slimer radioed her thanks to an alternative fuel source. Later, while Egon was preparing to greet Slimer, the insanity Claus attacked Janine. After a quick bust, Slimer accidentally slimed the real Santa. Another time, Ray tells Winston that Santa visited dressed as Dracula for Halloween. In 1995, a ghost of a firefighter continued his annual tradition of role-playing Sinterklaas, but with a dark twist of attacking naughty kids. This wasn't just a role, but involved deliberate acts to make kids naughty in order to become a powerful boogeyman. While this imposter was defeated, it was one of multiple incidents leading to the return of Rotafury. In the issue of said Return the True, Sinterklaas could be seen behind Krampus. You're likely thinking, how is he a Ghostbuster? The better question is not how, but where. Santa is a part of the real-world New York City Ghostbusters, who did a toy drive at the firehouse. Ebenezer Scrooge is not technically a Ghostbuster, but he is worth highlighting. In 1837 Camden Town, he was visited by 4 ghosts. Then, boom, time travel. The Ghostbusters went back in time, failed to recognize the significance of busting the ghosts, and drove home to realize that everyone now celebrates Christmas with a humbug. You see, when Scrooge realized that ghosts were real, he went from a passive hating of Christmas to decreeing active war upon it. He immediately began writing a Christmas humbug which claimed he was solely responsible for busting the ghosts. The Ghostbusters ended up enacting an unusually complicated plan to fix the timeline. The gist is they bought time for Egon to bring back the ghosts and put Scrooge through a third haunting that night. In a way, Scrooge's story would be told repeatedly. Marley's ghost would annoy stockbrokers down on Wall Street. The ghost of Christmas presents would visit Egon, but that could be a dream. Ghosts would visit Woodrow Fraser III, unsuccessfully for years. In the issue where the Ghostbusters failed to save Tiny Tim from Staff Sergeant Adams, there are references to the film Scrooged and somehow copies of a Christmas humbug being sold at or near Marley's. Similar references have been seen in other comics. It's ironic that the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future are more like Ghostbusters than Scrooge. Also known as Yuletide apparitions, Egon would obviously state that they were first recorded in Dickens' book A Christmas Carol. Yet Tobin's spirit guide would indicate that they are much older, implying that they have visited several emotionally closed-off people before Scrooge. Christmas past revealed that she's future's sister. Indeed, a conversation between Egon and Eduardo Rivera would indicate that the two are a single ghost of Christmas past and future that exists in 2 different times. At the least, past and future may be close, as past reveals future speaks to her. When the ghosts were caught by the Ghostbusters, time was changed. To fix it, Egon entered the containment unit to free them. Not only grateful, they were even willing to enter into the trap again, but this time they would also demonstrate that they were able to free themselves. Egon and Marley's role would announce to Scrooge what times the ghosts would appear, apparently by watching their fingers. During Past's visit, Present implied that the whole event was arranged so Peter learns a lesson about his Scroogeness. Present would send the Ghostbusters back to the future, a power outside of what his name would suggest. Later, they would visit Woodrow Fraser III every year, for at least a decade. During one of those years, Christmas Present would become envious of Woodrow's life and would possess him. As Woodrow, he would hire the Ghostbusters to get rid of Past and Future. In response, Past would show them Ray's childhood trip to Camp Wakanda, and Future would show a possible return of Gozer. Once Peter realized Woodrow was misleading them, he was able to reunite the three ghosts. On two separate occasions, the Ghostbusters would visit a house haunted by Tiny Tim. Said house had photos of the Christmas ghosts. Sometime after, both Past and Future began working for the Boogeyman, fighting the Ghostbusters' trained ghosts. During the holiday season, Present would dress up as Santa Claus. At some point, a Ghostbuster would bust Past and Present, and they would join the ghost team. Fun fact, Ray, in response to Egon's question, "Has anybody got any useful information to offer on the subject of Christmas spirits?" said Egajlurk Egahi Edigo Dodo Egaji, which was translated via Slimer and Janine to mean these spearmint bonbons are very nice indeed, Egon. Okay, that revealed nothing. Very little is known about Gurney Swalk. On December 25th, 1807, Gurney would patent the first ghost-proof bread bin. The only ghosts I could discover that this could be useful against are Charon, leprechauns, toasters, and slimers. Yet the bread bin was surprisingly well received. Egon would write about this in Spengler's Spirit Guide on Christmas Day, 1990. If there was more on the subject, we don't know as Egon ran out of space. Fun fact, Hot Wheels released a Ghostbusters toy called Breadbox. Just coincidence, the Yuki-onna is a Class 5 ghost who exists to trick people into danger. If someone survives her tricks, she would on a rare occasion grant the individual a gift. Despite her appearance, she is completely made of snow. These facts are recorded in Tobin's Spirit Guide. She was mentioned in the comic Ghostbusted when Ray speculated about what ghost he was currently hunting, labeling Yuki as a Vivos-simulating succubus. I should note that Nathan Johnson, the real-world author of the comic, may have written the scene in reference to his wife Yuki. The ghost Yuki would eventually appear during an incident alongside other ghosts who were dressed for the holidays. An Instagram post implies that she was trapped by a Ghostbuster in holiday gear. Afterwards, the Ghostbusters actually made her into one of their trained ghosts as part of their operations in a ghost dimension. It is possible Yuki was allowed to lead her fellow ghosts and would have protected them from the freezing abilities of Stay Puft and Adil Ness. Even these nameless Ghostbusters have a slightly discernible history. They might be new to ghostbusting as their holiday proton packs were presents. It appears that they didn't always suit up with holiday gear, total shocker, but did so not just for the season, but possibly for a case of wanton reindeer manifestations. They may have busted Yuki and the seasonally dressed Slimer, Bell Managishi, Moogly, Dixie, and Stay Puft. They presumably busted Christmas Present dressed as Santa, next to Beldar Cafe in Roswell, New Mexico. Snow. Ghostbusters? In Issue 3 of the Real Ghostbusters Puzzle Buster, there are 4 snowmen based on Ghostbusters, but with actual equipment. And that's it. Here's some honorable mentions. Promotional material for Spirits Unleashed features the following Busters in Happy Holidays sweaters: Abby, Shadow, Hotshot, Ildoom, Angel, Slick, and Junior. Here's some with obscure names. Thanks for watching. I'll be covering more Busters in the future. Comment, subscribe, you know the drill. Happy Holidays!